Alright, testing, 1, 2, 3. I can't even see the light. Hey guys, this is Robbie Wright, and we're going on a ride right now with our trusty 2015 KTM Duke 390. So, I've owned this bike for about a month, a little over a month now. I traded in my Bolt for it, just a private trade. No dealership would have given me any money for that bike. And today we're going to talk about whether or not I have buyer's remorse, because this is different than the Bolt I was riding. The horsepower was supposed to be like a 3 horsepower difference, but seeing as it's a V-twin versus a single cylinder, there's a lot of other issues that came up after I traded bikes that I wasn't expecting at the beginning. So we're going to start off with a little freeway ride, see how this little baby handles on the freeway. It's great around town. It's got a lot of pickup in the lower part of the gearbox. However, once you get to freeway speeds, it does drone a little. It's not, I don't want to say it's buzzy, but I'll let you guys see for yourself right now. Alright, so now we're on the freeway. We just accelerated. We're going 70 something in 4th gear. That's a little high, so we're going to keep it in 5th and 6th gear from now on. This bike does have an aftermarket acropovic slip-on wellet to the header, so it's a bit of a weird setup for the exhaust, and that's where you get that nice throaty gurgle from it. However, I do believe that the ratio is off, and it's costing me some issues with the mileage. I'm only getting about 47 miles per gallon on this bike, even though it's supposed to be 60 miles per gallon. So we're going to go on a nice long ride and see what happens. You guys can see we have no issues keeping up with freeway speeds. Passing, it is a little harder. I don't know if it's just this bike or all Dukes, but 6th gear seems to be lacking some power. So you really gotta put the gearbox a little more than I'm used to extract all the juice out of this little 390cc single cylinder thumper. Alright guys, so that was on the freeway. It feels like the bike is struggling somehow. Like, fifth gear feels great. I can take it up to like 90 miles per hour with a nice tuck to fight drag. But sixth gear feels like it's just not moving. We're gonna see right now, this bike is in its element right here in small city streets, stop and go, you know, like take off fast, stop faster. This is where the bike likes to live. However, I don't believe that that's how this bike is meant to be. 42 horsepower, 29 foot-pounds of torque. This bike should be able to handle better on the freeway. Now, in the time I've had it, I haven't done much, if any, work to it. I did notice that the guys who had it before me maybe weren't the best in maintenance, and there's a couple odds and ends here that make me a little nervous. But I want to have this video as a reference point, so once I do change everything I want to change on it, we can see the difference in power. again, 6th gear on the street, it's kind of disappointing. I don't know what it is about it, but it feels like it's drowning in air, if that's a good way to explain it. Like it's way too lean in 6th gear. Come on. I just need an opening, guys. Quick little opening. There you go. The ABS works great on this. I can feel some feedback whenever I brake hard, and that's like telling me like, hey, if it wasn't there, you were locked up that rear wheel, buddy. There's a hidden button right here where you can turn off ABS, and that's something I like doing when I want to have a little more fun, when I want to lock up the wheels and do some more hooligan stuff. But for now, we're just enjoying a ride. You can see those clouds. We're in Southern California. It's about to start raining for the next week. So this might be my last chance to ride till 2020, which is disappointing, but at least I get to ride a little, you know? The bike I sold for this, that was my main source of transportation. I took it everywhere in the short time I had it. I put about 5,000 miles on it, maybe like 3-4 months. This one I've put in 360 miles in about a month. So there's an obvious difference. The rev limiter does come on a little too early for my taste. I feel like most of the power on this bike comes in between 7,000 and 9,000 RPM, and then at 9,500, 10,000, that's when the rev limiter kicks in. And it's a little jarring if you're not expecting it. This is supposed to be a beginner's bike, and that always tripped me out, because if I was a beginner and my bike started making those weird noises, I wouldn't know what was going on. I might get a little freaked out. Thankfully, I've been riding for a good while now. I know what a bike's supposed to feel like. I think I can draw out the gears a little longer than I'm riding them out, but I prefer to be a little more gentle on this engine, seeing as I do weigh 240 pounds, and that's, you know, I don't think this bike was made for someone like me in mind. And even though it's not the fastest thing in the world, it's still extremely fun to ride. My wife and I actually just took it on a 60 mile round trip yesterday. The suspension was a bit stiff. You could tell it did not like having that much weight on it, but it handled adequately. We're going 75 miles per hour on the freeway, which is, you know, more than enough. I do miss the cruiser that I had before this, but what I don't miss is the weight, the handling, and the brakes that felt like a light switch. The rear brake, if you tapped it a little too hard, it will lock up the back wheel immediately. The front brake was a single rotor on an almost 600-pound machine. I would squeeze it, and that bike did not want to stop. So it is a definite improvement, especially when I'm riding by myself, to have this little guy instead of that cruiser I had before. I never really considered myself a cruiser guy. I like naked upright bikes like this. Something where you can really bring its neck out, have more fun, do some hooligan stuff, you know. But I do think in the future I'm going to need to not trade in for a cruiser, but upgrade, get a cruiser I can ride around too. Currently I have 3 bikes. I have this one, I have a 1972 CB350 and I have a 1982 Virago 750. However, those two bikes are still in a project phase. I'll show them to you guys sometime. This was supposed to be my main bike, my daily driver, but due to the weather and a couple other factors, it just really been sitting for the most part. 359 miles, that's what I usually put in a week on a slow week, and this bike has gone a month and a half with very little miles on it. And I don't know, like, everything about it feels great. The fit and finish feels great. I think it has upgraded levers, it has upgraded controls. It's in really good condition for a almost 5-year-old bike, and it only has, I'll check that later. It only has about 12,000 miles on it, which is great, you know. My older bike had 33,000 miles on it when I traded it in for this one, and you could tell the engine was starting to wear out. The power wasn't what it was when I first got it. I could have just been riding it too hard too. Transmission clicked, engine would lack power sometimes. Ooh. I gotta be careful because I'm riding right next to the police department here, and I do not want to get pulled over. For my birthday, if either this year or last year, one of my friends got me a Southside Serpents patch, like, you know, the show Riverdale. I thought it was the most awesome thing. I put it on my vest, but now it makes me nervous because I ride kind of aggressively, and, you know, not every officer is as pop savvy as the rest, so I don't want to run into a day when somebody thinks that the patch on my back is real, and I get pulled over just for that. Alright, the GoPro's dying, so we're just gonna let it go to sleep a little bit. Well, that's about it for today, guys. It was just a short little ride. No mames. That's another issue. This bike is way too light. I did not activate turn lights. So I might be stuck here for a while. It's not great, but it's one of the drawbacks of having a smaller bike. I think I'll just go straight. Is more nimble, it is narrower, it is lighter, like significantly lighter, almost 200 pounds lighter than my previous bike, so it is a lot easier to lane split and, you know, ride around traffic. And yes, I've been seeing that the whole time. I've been, you know, I haven't been behind a car for long if I can avoid it. Oh. I stalled, great. And I got it on camera, yay! Oh, previously I'd been given a chance to buy one of these. I was going to trade in a Ninja and $1,000 to get this before. And I had said no because I knew that a single cylinder like this is a little more finicky. It's a little more temperamental. I knew that the way I ride, there was a possibility that I would blow the engine. And that's kind of a fear I have with this bike. Especially yesterday riding with two people, 25 miles an hour. In 6th gear, there was just no relief. There was no other gear I could turn to. I couldn't slow down because I would have been like, you know, I was in the freeway. Alright guys, that's about it for today. Just a quick little reference point. Hopefully after the storm, after I can do a little more work on the bike. Was this not recording? I can't stand GoPros, guys.